Okay, so I just finished this hat, and in the live stream that I was doing where I was finishing this hat, I had mentioned I'm working on a blanket for my brother, and that I've kind of been procrastinating and thought, maybe if I do these like little live things, because I don't know how to make the little movies and edit them and post and all that stuff. Um, maybe that'll get me accountable and help motivate me to finish it, because then I can actually see the progress over the course of the time that I'm working on it, right? And it kind of sets aside that time that's what I need to be working on, as I'm working on something that I shouldn't be working on that related to this blanket. But I have some stuff in the description where I talk about how the process is. I actually designed it in Excel. I'm an accountant. I like Excel. And Excel is actually, I feel, really good for design work if you're doing corner to corner, or something along those lines. Anyway, I've been meaning to weave in the ends of this bag that I made. So that's what I was doing at the beginning of this video. But it's a nice bag, and it's where I've been keeping some of my crochet stuff. There was a lady, I could probably make it into a top. But there was a lady on a Facebook reel who was showing, she was crocheting one of the squares. She held the square up, and then she showed a picture of the bag. And I'm sure she had a tutorial or a pattern or something, but I don't know. I'm getting old, I guess. I didn't want to figure out how to navigate to all that stuff. So I just paused it and I looked at it and I figured out how I would make it. If I was to make the square, how I would make it. And of course, looking at it, I can immediately tell there's 12 squares. I know that's not very apparent for people, but you've got two folded in the bottom, in each bottom corner, so that's 4. You've got two folded diagonally up at the top, so that's 5 and 6. Then you've got these 3 on the front, and there has to be 3 in the back, so you have a total of 12. And then it's, if you attach granny squares, you know how to attach this. I ended up adding a border to it. I'm not sure if she did. And then I think she used some really thick string to connect the two to work as a bag. So like this will probably work better. I kind of like it as an over the shoulder, so I made it a little bit longer. The way in which I did it, I feel is very durable. And then I sort of created triangles, crochet triangles, sewed it on really, really well. So this should be able to do a lot of weight. And if I don't want anything small falling through, I can just line it if I want. But anyway, like I said in the description, I'm just going to use this time to work on weaving in the ends of the 54 squares that I have crocheted that need their ends woven in. And that's always the worst part for a lot of crocheters, is the weaving into the end. So you can't see it, but it's there. I have a whole pile of these guys that I want to try and weave in. So here's a unwoven in square, and here I took a safety pin and I wrapped a lot of yarn around it, and then I tied it really tight, and then I'm just threading it through one of the top corners. So these are these have no ends left that they need to have woven in. They're ready for sewing. The thumbnail I used is a screenshot of the Excel excuse me, of the Excel file. The Google, I guess you say Google Documents is not Excel, because Excel, I only use Excel at work, because you can't just buy Excel now. You have to have a subscription. No, thank you. If I'm gonna purchase something, I'm gonna purchase it and own it. I try to not deal with subscriptions. I don't like that model of business. I would pay $500 to own Excel outright. And they could honestly monetize patches if they were going to add features or whatever, or do a patch to fix an issue. Make it on a like, if you feel like this was an important issue that we solve for you, and you want to apply that to your Excel, $2 to download the patch. That allows people to customize their Excel. Now, of course, you'll end up with like version mismatch issues, but I don't know. I just liked it back in the day when you could actually purchase your software instead of being on a subscription-based model. But whatever. I don't have a lot of money, so software development is not for me. But so I normally do magic rings, by the way. A lot of the first ones I did had magic rings, but then I was like, honestly, I feel like it's taking me too long. I don't like how it ends up looking. So I ditched the magic ring and I just went for a chain. I chained 4 and then I crocheted in the first chain that I made. And just did it that way because I know I can do this. I may because I'm gonna have to weave in an end for a magic ring anyway. So why not just make it easier for me? Um, so I'm just doing the non-magic ring way of doing this. And I actually made a bit of a change from how I originally started doing this, but no one's gonna know. There's literally no difference. What I had done at first is I did 4 of these 3 double crochet clusters around, and then I had a spot for them. Like I did the chain in the corner. And then I was like, you know what? This is taking too long. I don't like how it ends up looking. So I'm going to go do it my way. Because no one's going to know. It is a square. You're not going to see a difference between one square to the next as long as you do it with the right stitch count. And then, of course, I am going to have to block these at some point. I don't typically block my work. Shame on me. But for this thing, I probably am going to block so I have uniformity. So there we go. That's one. We're 6 minutes in. Woohoo! I'm smoking. YouTube. I'm not actually smoking anything. Oh gosh, I would, but no, not smoking anything. So there we go. That's now number 8. We've got 8 completely done. Woohoo! They're really easy to make. Like, if you ever want to design, I'm just going to talk about it. I guess I should probably weave something in while I talk about it, right? If you ever want to design an image and you don't want to do corner to corner because you end up with the same issues I have. I don't mind doing corner to corner if I'm doing a design for like a baby blanket. I could do that's fine. It's not that big of a deal. But this big corner to corner one just was not. I was struggling. I was struggling with like the executive dysfunction related to it. It just constantly I was thinking, I need to finish this. I need to finish it. And I could not work up the energy to even pull it out, get all this stuff out, and start finishing it. It just was not clicking in my head. And it was causing me a lot of stress because I can see it unfinished in my closet. Every time I look at my closet, I'm like, I need to get this done. It's taking up so much room in my closet. I need to get it done. Could not bring myself to take it out to start working on it. And it got to the point my brain was like, you need to finish this before you die. You're going to have this thing uncompleted at 80 years of age. Your brother will have gone through like 14 cats and you wouldn't have been able to finish this one blanket. So I'm going to finish it, and I'm going to finish it in a way that I know I can do. I can do these little bite-sized, quick, a square here, a square there. Like I said in the little description, I completely revamped it 2 nights ago, and I'm already 61 squares like completed. Not so I all but for the weaving in of the ends, it is completed. So there we go. That's another one done. And like, so this was one of the original like styles I did before I switched over to a quicker style. So there is a slight difference that I can tell. I don't think many people could tell. But there's just slight variations to it. It just looks a little bit different. I also, when I was doing it, I did a standing crochet. Now, anyway, sorry, what I was saying is when it comes to designing, if you want to design a blanket and you don't want to do corner to corner, or you do want to do corner to corner, however you want to do it, right? You're not sure where to start. You've got sort of an image idea in your mind. There's a website called Stitch Fiddle that you can actually upload the image to and tweak around until it's kind of the way you want it. And you can tell it you want it to do corner to corner, which is how I originally designed the blanket. I did it in Stitch Fiddle, but you do have to have a membership with Stitch Fiddle. And honestly, if you're doing corner to corner blanket, you don't need stitch fiddle unless you want it to write the pattern for you. If you're not good with like the color changing aspect of it, or you don't want to spend that time to write the pattern, that's perfectly fine. It's not that expensive. Like stitch fiddle is very affordable for what it does. And I have seen on Etsy a lot of people selling patterns that they created through stitch fiddle, which is fine. No problem. No problem. Oops, shit. No issue with that. But you can use Excel, you can use Google Documents. Hell, you can even use basic graphing paper from the store. I may be dating myself talking about graphing paper. I don't know if they even use that in schools nowadays. My kids are 7 and 6 years old right now, so they're not at the graphing paper stage. But yeah, you could do this with graphing paper. You just figure out, like, make a square as your gauge, like however big you want your square, measure the square, and then determine, okay, that's how many squares, like I want my project to be 60 inches across, and each square that I make is 3 inches, so I need 20 squares across to make it as long as I want it, as wide as I want it to be. And you can go from there, but you could use graphing paper or Excel, Google Sheets, whatever. Plot out your design and then count the squares for the colors that you need. And boom, there you go. So yeah, in my screenshot, like each cell, I sized the Google document cells to be the size that I needed them to be, to basically be a square. And then I just did color highlights. And then I just typed in the number 1 in the color squares. I covered that whole section, and it gave me a sum at the bottom that told me how many squares I needed to make of something. And when it came to the black one, because of course you're using black, well, you might be smarter than me and not use black text. You can use, red text, white text. So that way you have all the squares. All I did was just put it in, and then I took off all the highlighting, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the shape I needed. That's all the ones I need for the black. Just summed it up. And I also did a double check, of course. I'm an accountant. I want to check my work. I figured out how many rows I was doing across and how many rows I was doing below. I just multiplied it, did a quick check to make sure that the total matched the total squares I had. It did. So I didn't miss any. So yeah. All right. So we've got another one down. Another one's woven in. On to the next. Making good progress. What do they call it? It's like, this isn't body doubling. Maybe it is. Maybe it does feel like it's body doubling because I'm able to see myself on the screen right there. And so I am able to maybe kind of body double. I don't know. Okay, that's interesting. I like the other way I started. Maybe I'll have to go back to doing that because it weaves in better. I don't like joining, like when I finished at a chain 2 space. I can show you how I make these squares too. God knows I need more white anyway. 312. I need 312 more white squares. But I could probably show you how I make them. And these ones I think are 3 inches. The problem is I designed it. I made the mistake of designing it before. Where the hell is that tape? Where's the tape measure? Where'd it go? Dude, it was just, I literally just made this hat and I used the tape measure. Oh, it was right here. I keep dropping it on the floor because, I'm organized. I actually made the square after I designed it and counted everything out. So he's going to have a pretty big blanket. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a big one. But you know what? He and his partner will not need to buy separate blankets to make sure they're covered. I have a feeling that this blanket will be big. And it's so funny too, because when I originally designed it for the corner to corner, I was like, oh no, this blanket might be twin sized. It's not going to be twin sized. For even the corner to corner, I bit off more than I could chew when I designed it. I made it big because I actually, I originally designed it in Excel and then I transferred that pattern over to stitch fiddle. And then I was like, oh, this is going to be too small, because I know each of my corner to corner crochet, like double crochet clusters, tend to be about an inch by an inch, so almost a square. And after I designed it, I ran the calculations, and it was going to be big, because, you know, go big or go home. Everything's bigger in Texas. Anyway, all right, I woven this one in. It's another one done. Just put this on my string of done squares. Okay, so I'm going to make one real quick. I still have on my hook, the purple hook you can see, I still have my 8mm from completing this hat. This yarn is Red Heart Super Saver, because, you know, I'm going to save money if I'm making a big blanket. Requires a 5.5. So that means any other yarn that I get is going to have to be a 5.5. Let me take that yarn spaghetti out. Put my 8 up. Where's my 5.5? I like this set. I got the set from Amazon for like $10. I have plenty of hooks. I have some from O'Fire. Well, I have one from O'Fire. I have a lot of clover hooks. Those are kind of my favorite, depending on what yarn I'm using. But I actually got these because I like purple. Purple's kind of my favorite color. Ignore this and ignore that bag. My Gengar bag is a good example of purple. But I like purple. I also like the weight of this. There were people complaining because the handle's heavy. It's heavy. It's a hefty girl. But I liked it. I like, you know, I wanted to try a heavy hook, and I really like this one. But it comes with a lot of different sizes. I'm not advertising for it. I'm not going to put a link anywhere. If you ask me for it, I will tell you the name of it. I don't want to give you a link that has like an affiliate code or something like that, because I don't want to be making money off of recommendations. I just want to share what works for me. Another thing that people did complain about is the fact that they were like, oh, the hook gets loose when I'm crocheting. I had to twist pretty hard to get it. If you twist it tight enough, it's not getting loose. Like, there's a little rubber grommet inside that helps like keep that seal. So you really have to work at breaking it. So I don't think people are screwing it. I think they're being very light-handed when they screw it, which causes it to, you know, be that of an issue. But anyway, they got a fair amount of sizes. They had in millimeters, because I'm a millimeter type girl. There's a 3.5 that I have stuck in a project right now because I don't want to forget the size. But it has 3.5, 4, 4.55, 5.56, 6.5, 7, and then an 8. So you're working with moderate chunky yarn to like a sports weight type yarn with this type of crochet hook set. I'm sure there's plenty other out there that are interchangeable. Anyway, I'm going to make this square real quick. But yeah, my problem is I made the square without, like, I made the design without measuring what the square would be like. So it's going to be a big blanket. If I just take this. Here's my handy dandy tape measure I just used on this. Oh, that's not a good one. That's not been, I'm keeping it on the string. Okay. So we're at just over 2 inches. When I sew them together, they'll probably end up being about 2.5 inches in all. My pattern is, I think, 30. Oh God, I did something. I closed it. All right. The pattern is, how many rows is that? I don't even know. Let's see. 32. It's 32 across. So 2.5 inches, you know, I'm looking at over, let's see, it's 32 across. So I'm looking at about 80 inches. Excuse me. So about 6.6 feet across. I don't normally talk this much, so my throat is dry like the Sahara. So over 6, you know, 6 and 2/3 feet, 80 inches. And then it's also going to be 41 squares long. So 32 squares across, 41 squares down. So it's looking at about 102, 103 inches in length, which is going to be 8.5 feet. So this is a big blanket. It's going to be a big blanket. I'm going to mute myself and go grab a drink real quick because that throat is. Okay. C4. Let me just pause it because. Not pause it, mute it. What did I put? Oh, there's my hook. Okay, so this will be square number 62. I am going to do a magic ring for this one. Now, when I do magic rings, ooh, I almost did the not magic ring. When I do a magic ring, I actually, and it's got to start with a double crochet, I will actually do this standing single crochet. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I got my 5.5 hook on. I'm doing the magic ring. I'm going to go under, pull through, and I'm actually going to do a single crochet here on the top. So you can't see it. It's so hard for me to describe because when someone, like, I can see it in my head. And I feel like if I'm describing it, someone would also see it in their head, the mechanics of it. So it's hard for me to describe in a way to get someone to do what it is I'm describing, if that makes sense, because the way in which I perceive it, when someone's talking about it, I actually do it in my head. So it's much harder for me. It also helps if I see someone do it, but since I've been doing crochet for long enough, I'm able to kind of see it take place in my head. Don't know how to explain it, especially because I have a type of, I think it's called like antiphasia. If you told me to imagine an apple, I understand the concept of an apple. I understand the different colors that the apple can come in. But imagining it is so weird because, God, I can't really explain it. It's like everything, like when you close your eyes, there's a particular color that you see when your eyes are closed. It's like, it's kind of like a dark grayish, especially with the light on, like a really dark gray. And you tell me to imagine an apple. And you tell me to imagine a red apple. I can vaguely, I understand the concept of the apple, but I can't actually see the apple. And my brain's like, it needs to be red. And I know what the color red looks like, but I cannot imagine a red apple. I imagine the concepts of a red apple. So it's like, these are all the elements. And when it comes to memory, like, I would never be able to describe how a person's face looks, even if it's a person who I see all the time, like my daughter's face. I can't imagine my daughter's face, but I can imagine the concept of my daughter's face. I would not be able to sit in front of a sketch artist and be like, oh yes, the nose is up a little bit more, or the ears are like this. I can't describe those elements, and I wouldn't be able to, like, if they had a photo of her and they drew her from the photo and then they showed me their drawing of her, I'd be like, oh yes, that is my daughter. But I'd never be able to direct them to be able to draw my daughter. I don't know if that makes sense, but I can't. It just doesn't work like that for me. And I didn't realize that everybody else was like that. Well, no, I didn't realize that not everybody is like that, I should say. Okay. Anyway, so, oh shit. I did a stacked single crochet. So what you do, this isn't a tutorial, so don't come after me, bro. Anyway, so you do single crochet. Back up just a little bit. So I've done a single crochet. There's a single crochet in the magic ring. Then when you're looking at it, you will have your bottom. Oh, this is terrible with white yarn. But you'll have your bottom loop right there. I'm going to go into that bottom loop. I'm going to do another single crochet. So it's a stacked, I'm sure there's another word for it. I just call it a stacked single crochet. And now I have 2 crochets right on top of each other. Looks like a double crochet, and it has the loop at the top like a double crochet. So I'm not chaining 3 where you have to try and figure out where you want to put your hook. And I'm not doing like a standing double crochet. I'm just doing a stacked single crochet. That counts, those 2, excuse me, that was a very carbonated drink, counts as a double crochet, 1 double crochet. I'm going to do a total of 12 double crochet into this magic ring. Oh, come on now. So I'm at 3, 3. I need to do 6 more. So there we go with the 2, the 3. I shouldn't have put my yarn on that side because it's not flowing well, but that's okay. I keep trying to catch it with this hook. That's 7, 8, and 9. Oh, and I don't know if people have a hard time keeping count of their things. What I found really helps, count by 3s. I don't know where y'all were raised or what y'all saw when you were a kid, but Schoolhouse Rock, when they did their numbers, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, counting by 3s, super easy for me. I actually struggle with counting by 2s. I think it's because of the pacing of the words to count by 2s. It's difficult for me. Anyway, so I now have 12. I've just got a circle. I'm going to slip stitch into that first stitch. And then here I can either do the stacked single crochets again, or I could do a chain 3. This point doesn't really matter. It doesn't show too much of a difference. It doesn't make it easier. But what I'm going to do here is what do I want to do? I guess I could do the stacked single. So here's where I have slip stitch. Come on, focus, dude. This camera. This is literally the camera that I bought for my work. My work laptop has a camera. I don't like it. So I have this like portable HDMI from Logitech. Anyway, so I'm going to do a single crochet into the one. So here's where I joined it. I'm going to go back just a little bit and do my stacked single crochet. This isn't a tutorial. I need to keep telling myself. I just like to explain how things are done because when I'm watching someone, sometimes it's nice to hear how they decided to do it. But yeah, so there's my stacked, my 2 single crochets that now has the height of a double crochet. It kind of looks like a double crochet. And I'm just going to do my double crochet cluster in there. So do 3 double crochets just like you would with a granny square. I'm going to skip 3. 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna just go into the space between the double crochets. I'm not actually going to crochet into them. I'm not sure if it's been a while since I've actually followed a granny square pattern. I think maybe 12 years since I last followed a pattern that explained how to do a double crochet style granny square, so the typical granny square. Anyway, so I skip the 3. I do 3 double crochets. Then I chain 2. I always chain 2 because it makes a sharp corner. And I know that when I join these, I'll only use 1 loop. And then when I join this way, I'll only use 1 loop. 3 kind of leaves the area open for interpretation. All right, so now I've done my corner. I did another 3. So that's my first corner. I am going to skip to this third, 3 double crochets. I'm going to double crochet into that spot, another 3. Then chain 2. I don't know why my yarn is doing this. It's acting like there's this heavy weight on it. There's nothing on it. I'm going to move it over here so it's easier to flow. Chain 2, then do another 3 double crochet in here. 1, and a 2, and a 3. Okay. And then, oh, you know what really ticks me off? So I'm kind of weird when it comes to pattern recognition. And when someone shares a photo of something that they crocheted, allegedly crocheted, and you'll see why I say that in a second. I crocheted this pattern. And then they show what the completed thing is, and then they're like, here's the free pattern for it. And it's either a written pattern or it's a diagram pattern. I don't know if you guys have seen those before, but there's actual, like, you can follow an image where it's like little crosses, little loops, and they signify different things. So a plus sign is a single crochet, and a plus sign with one slash is a half double crochet. And then, something like that, those type of patterns. I kind of like those. That's actually the first way I learned how to follow a pattern, because I didn't know what single crochet, half double crochet, didn't know what those meant. So I use this. But anyway, so people will share like, oh, look at this beautiful pattern I made. It's free. Here's the picture. And the picture is very clearly AI, because I look at the pattern and I'm like, okay, even if it doesn't come with a written one and they just show a picture or something like that, it doesn't look right. And I'll be like, okay, this is what a double crochet should look like. And I look at it, I'm like, you can't actually do that with yarn, unless you're gluing them together. Like, that's not compatible with crocheting, type dealio. I can't stand AI patterns for that, because I look at it and I'm immediately like, yo, this is AI. And I'm known where I work as being a crocheter. And occasionally a coworker will send me a picture of something and be like, do you think you could crochet this? And I hate having to tell them, I am sorry, I could do something similar, but that's AI. It's not, you can't actually crochet it. And that was one of the biggest things that I started noticing. That was one of the first things actually I started noticing with AI generated images. I first started seeing them in crochet groups that I was in. And it was always like, oh, look at this beautiful dress that I crocheted for my granddaughter. Isn't it so pretty? And you'll have, I hate to see it, the boomers, the older generation going, oh, it's so beautiful. I love the pattern. You did such a great job. Can you please send me the pattern? And, they might get like a link to something that they're probably going to click on. They're probably browsing Facebook on their desktop instead of their mobile phones. Now they have tracker cookies, or they've bought a pattern that doesn't actually make it out to that. And, or another one that I was thinking people were doing when they were sharing these AI ones to get people to comment on them, checking to see who is gullible, checking to see who could discern if it was fake or not, if that makes sense. And then they would be like, okay, this person here, this person's gonna fall for that print scam, or they're gonna fall for the IT support refund overcharge or whatever. So, anyway, sorry, there we go. It's done. If I wasn't stopping so much or whatever, I timed it, and I think it took me like 2 minutes last time. So this one's finished from scratch. So I'm now going to mark off. We're now at 62 white ones done. I have a little Excel in the Excel document. So I have the image that I created. I don't know if I can screen share here. Share screen. Oh, I can share screen. Okay. I'm going to share it. Chrome tab. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right, so now you guys can see it. Oh, that's really cool. I can see it, and then I can see me. You can see I don't do this often. But there's the image that I created in Excel, and you can see I have this count up here. Like, here's my white ones. I just marked this one off, and then this is just a basic little formula here, and then the basic formula. So it'll sum up, all the ones that I've completed so far. I haven't woven in all 62 ends, but I just wanted to, technically they're done, all but 4. It's like, what is it when you are going for your PhD? You might not have done your dissertation, and there's actually something that it's sometimes very rare to get completed, at least from the person who is talking to me about it. Honestly, I think it was my dad. But it was like, for those that they finished everything but their dissertation, they'll actually have on like their business cards and stuff, PhD, ABD. And the ABD stands for all but dissertation. So these are completed, all but 4. They don't have the ends woven in. So here's my little stack so far of my squares that have the ends woven in. And now I'm gonna, and so now that I know I can share this, I'm actually gonna start doing that on the live. If I do more of these, I will share it so I can mark it off as I go. But I think I like the way of doing that. I do think I'm gonna go back to doing the standing singles and the magic rings for the start of these, because I feel like maybe it's a little easier to weave in. I think, you know what I think I'm going to do, since I do have so many white ones I need to finish. I think what I'll do on these is I'll weave in, because sometimes it's just not feasible to weave in. I might not have scissors with me, so I have to rip the yarn. I might not have a sewing needle with me, a yarn needle. So maybe it'll make sense if I just, if I'm live streaming and I do have a stack of squares that I need to weave in the ends for, I'll weave in one, and then as my little reward, I will make another square and weave in that one as I go, and then I will weave in, and I'll pick another completed one to weave in, and I think that'll help break up the monotony of having to weave in ends. I do try to weave in ends as I go when it comes to bigger projects. But you know, that's not always feasible. That's why it can be a struggle. And I do like weaving in ends. It's just the problem with weaving in ends is I'm thinking there's other things I could be doing with this time. Like there's other crochet projects. If you're a long enough time crocheter, then there's definitely projects that you'll have like 50 work in progress projects, your unfinished objects, your whips, your WIPs, you'll have those. I'm trying to weave it in really good so it's not going to come loose. There's another one. Done. So I'm going to do that. I am going to there we go. Got my little pile of yarn spaghetti. Another beautiful project completed. I made an Italian pasta dish. Not properly, so oh well. I got a little over an hour before I've got to go to my parents for dinner. My kids are spending time with my mother-in-law because we're going on a bit of a vacation soon. So she wants him for, oh, that's right. Hey, I'm gonna go get one of these done. So we're gonna start on white square number 63. So right now I'm gonna wait till it's at the top of the 38 mark, and then I'll start. Do that standing single crochet. So there's a single crochet. I'm going into that second one, doing another single crochet to get the height of a double. So that counts as my first double. Now I'm at 3 double crochets in, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. There's the 12th. Tighten. Go into that top. Single, back, single, crochet, single crochet. And then we got 2 doubles into that spot. All right, go skip 3, 1, 2, 3. 3 double crochet into that spot. Typical granny square start, I think. Like I said, I haven't read the instructions on how to do a basic granny square with double crochets in, well over a decade. So I'm not sure how it's actually supposed to start nowadays. Go, almost done. Okay. About half of the way through this second round. There we go. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Two. And there we go. All right. And that one's done. It took 2 minutes, 19 seconds for it to get snipped. Now we're going to see how the weave-in works, how long that'll take. Because I started this square at 38 minutes in. Weave. Pull tight. Go back the other way. And when it comes to weaving in a magic square, I will bring it, say, like one double crochet cluster in the direction it was already headed in. And then I will turn it and bring it all the way around to give it a nice long tail and secure it. So that the magic crochet, magic crochet. Yeah, it is magic crochet. 3D printing, just very, very slowly. Is this? Yeah, this is 3D. There we go. There we go. Back this way. My hand isn't cooperating with me today. It's like, no more crochet, please. You should switch to knitting for a bit. No, that project has waited a year. It can wait another year. Ugh. All right. Ugh, man. Okay, so it took me almost 4 minutes once you take into consideration the weaving in, but there we go. That's another one done. Let's go mark that puppy off. Once I snip, I'm going to snip it. I'm going to put it on here. Which direction does this go? I want it to go all the same direction. There we go. All right. There we go. Number 63 is finished. Boop, boop. All right. Now I pick another one to weave in the ends. Weaving in the ends takes so long. I'm not going to cuss because I don't want to get in trouble with the YouTube gods. I should not have had my third energy drink. I'm getting sleepy now. All right. I did go. Yeah, I think I'll definitely start the next series of these. For all the new ones I'll make, I will start with the magic ring because I feel like that's a lot easier to weave in than when you do with the single crochet and you're trying to tighten it, or the chain. Starting with the chain where you do the chain 4 and all that, it'll be easier to tighten it. Magic ring. So random. I have chickens. I have turkeys. I screwed that up. Damn it. I also have guinea fowl, and it's a funny story behind that. I had Cornish game hens. If you know what Cornish game hens are, you know what had to happen to them later. But I had gotten a group of Cornish game hens in, and I had one of the ugliest baby chicks I've ever seen. Absolutely ugly. I was like, you're kind of cute in an ugly way. You just, I don't know what's wrong with you. I thought there was like a genetic condition wrong with this chick. And I actually had 2 extra chicks in the batch from what I had ordered from the hatchery. But anyway, so as they're getting older, this chick is deformed. Just, but seems to be living and thriving well. Well, isn't growing like the other ones are growing. Looks really weird. So I take a picture with Google and I run it through the Google lens. It is not a chicken. It is a white African guinea fowl. I was like, okay, that's cool. Guess you get a not have what happens to the Cornish game hens. So she's still around. Her name is Jeannie the Guinea. She sounds absolutely hilarious. Wove one in. I gotta make another one. Yay. But anyway, when I did another hatch from the eggs that my other chickens had done for me, the ones that aren't Cornish game hens, because unfortunately Cornish game hens cannot reproduce. That is unfortunate, but that is how it is. Anyway, so she got to live with them. When I went to go do another hatch of my regular egg layers, when I do that, because when you hatch your own eggs, because I have my own incubator, you end up with about a 50% survival rate. Like survive out to the 6-week-old mark, and they get to move outside. It's about 50%. So you can have 20 eggs. You hatch the 20 eggs. You should statistically have about 10 that make it outside to the 6-week-old mark. I go to the local Tractor Supply whenever I've just had a hatch, like they've just hatched out. I'm about to put them into the nursery. Basically, I go to Tractor Supply around the time that I'm doing my hatch, which is in the spring, so they have their chicks there too. And I might pick up some pretty exotic looking ones like lavender Orpingtons or gold laced or silver lace Wyandottes. Well, I went and they had guinea fowl. I was like, oh, cool. Well, you had to buy either 3 chicks or 2 guinea fowl or 2 turkeys. Like there's a minimum limit, right? So I got 2 guinea fowls to be friends with the guinea fowl I already have. Raised them up. One of them unfortunately passed away due to heat about a year into his life. But the other one's doing fine, apart from being injured as a chick and suffers with a limp. Thriving just fine. He's doing great. I don't know if I counted these. I think I did. I don't know why I was distracted and I cut it. I don't want to deal with a lot. Do I want to join it? I don't know. I don't want to weave in another one. I don't like you. That's what happens when you get distracted. Fine, I'll weave in another one. Anyway, so I end up having 2 guinea fowl. I have a white African guinea fowl, and then I've got this like black and white speckled looking thing. I don't even remember what the name was, but they get along pretty good. A couple days back, about a week or so now, 2 weeks actually, since, yeah. But anyway, we had this random, beautiful looking though, light lavender looking guinea fowl just wandering the outside of my chicken run. I was like, that's very odd. I only have 2. And at first I thought that this was Ginny the guinea, just very dirty. Because Ginny the guinea is white. She's like bleach white almost. Even with being outside in mud and stuff, she is a white, pale guinea. Anyway, it's like, okay, we have this random guinea fowl. I called my mother-in-law about it. Turns out that guinea has visited her chicken coop. She actually thought it was mine that had gotten out until she looked a little bit closer, and she'd been meaning to tell me about it. But anyway, so she's just there, and I'm like, you know what? I'll let my chickens out. Maybe they'll like her. I do have a turkey that has been raised as a chick, like with my chicks. I actually hatched this turkey egg from a turkey egg that my other turkeys had laid before they unfortunately passed away very suddenly due to a husky incident. But anyway, I was able to incubate that egg. So that turkey lives fantastically with my chickens. My chickens, there's a type of disease actually that is communicable. Chickens can live through it. Turkeys generally don't. If they do survive, they have really bad problems. I didn't know about that before I raised my turkeys with my chickens. But you know what? These turkeys absolutely adore the chickens that they are raised with. They're very protective of them, which is great. It just means that I can't raise chickens with these turkeys. Like new chickens. I can't introduce new chickens. So there's always that worry whenever other birds are around. I actually have found dead birds, like the little birds that, go to like hanging bird feeders that you have. But I don't know if she killed it or the roosters killed it or whatever, but they all live really well. 1 turkey, 2 roosters. I have 8 hens. One of them's a little bantam. So I have this little itty bitty bantam that fits in the palm of your hand. Like she fits a little over. Look up a bantam. You'll see what I mean. There's another one woven in. 2 roosters, a turkey, and 2 guinea fowl. And they all get along swimmingly. They're fantastic together, right? So I was worried that this one would get attacked by my turkey or get chased off by my roosters. No. I don't even think the turkey realized there was another guinea fowl. I don't think the roosters realize either. I think it's just the hens that are like, those guinea fowls are eating a whole lot more than what they used to. Anyway, for the first 2 days, so I let them out. They all interacted great. I was like, all right, cool. If she sticks around, she sticks around. Maybe I've got myself a new guinea fowl. Now, to give you a little bit of backstory, where we live, there's the people behind us. They have about 10 acres. They got 2 cattle on there. That's all they got. They got just 2 cattle. They don't have a dog. They don't have a cat. They got 2 cattle. 2 cows. 2 cows. The neighbors to the side of us, they have 2 cats. And then that is it. None of the people, oh, and the people across the street a little ways, they have probably about 25 acres. They got some cows. They have 2 dogs. So none of the ones in the immediate acreage around us have chickens, roosters, guinea fowl that we're aware of. So it's very weird to see this beautiful guinea fowl out of nowhere show up. So she must have got real lost from wherever she lived, and she probably heard my guinea fowls chattering, and she came over to investigate. But anyway, so I let them out. They all seemed to do well. At night, I went to go put my chickens in. They were already in, and so was this guinea fowl. I was like, cool. So I closed up the chicken run, and they all went to sleep, and they all did pretty good. And then the next day, I let them all out, and she still interacted with them. And then when I went to go check on the chickens at night to put them up, she was nowhere to be found at first. She was on top of the chicken run, sleeping there. I was like, that's what you want to do? That's fine. Next day, she was around for about half a day. And then at night, she was gone. I was like, all right. She needed a place to eat, a place for some water, some food. You know, she's moved on with her life. She's gone on her merry little adventure. Cool. Don't cut this. 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 You got to continue on with it. You got to continue on with it. Don't cut it. Don't do it. Okay. Got it. Anyway, so I'm like, all right, cool. We'll probably never see her again. She's moved on. She's either gone back to her home or whatever. 5 days later, yesterday, Christmas Eve, I come outside. There she is. And my daughter, at this point, after the second day of seeing her, my daughter named her Cupcake. So her name is Cupcake. But Cupcake came back. And I was very excited. Ran inside, told the kids Cupcake was back. And she's just chilling, doing her thing. Last night, I go to put up all the chickens and, you know, the turkeys and the guinea fowl and all that. She's nowhere to be seen. And that's fine. All the other ones are nestled into their nighttime routine. They all sleep in different spots, depending on how they feel, I guess. Sometimes the turkey sleeps with the little bitty bantam and one of the roosters and one of the guinea fowl and one of the hens. Sometimes the turkey prefers to be by herself and she sleeps on top of one of the coops. You know, sometimes the bantam wants to be squeezed between 2 of the guinea fowls. Sometimes she doesn't. They sleep kind of wherever they want. They don't have set spots. Anyway, so I do the count. We only have the 13, I think it was, the 13 birds that we should have there. Cupcake's nowhere to be found. All right, cool. No problem. Well, I head over to my mother-in-law's house, and as I'm going, I see on the top, I noticed something up the top of corner of my eye, on the top of my car. It's Cupcake. She's nestled on top of the roof of the car. Cool. You can spend the night there. That's fine. The next day, I come back to the house to go grab something because it's Christmas. It's today, right? I don't see her. It's whatever. She's gone on with her life again. She got a top of the food. Well, I come back home, or I go back over to my mother-in-law's house, get the kids so we can open presents. We have presents at both places. Get the kids so we walk over, and she was over in our neighbor's yard who has the cows. She was chilling over there waiting for me to open up the chicken coop. So I walk over towards the chicken coop. She goes right into the chicken coop. I don't know if people, if anyone ever sees this who aren't my kids, you've probably never seen a guinea fowl run. They run like a little old lady trying to mall walk or something. But so she runs on over to their little coop, She waits there. I open it up and she goes and gets right in between those the two guinea fowl that I have. And they just have a fun day. I went a little bit later in the day after the kids had gone back over to my mother-in-law's for breakfast while I was making some cookies and packing some stuff away. Well, I had remembered I bought some freeze-dried soldier worms and mealworms for treats for my chickies on Christmas Day. I don't wait for Christmas to give them treats. I go to the store, and if watermelon's on sale or corn's on sale, or sometimes I'll get them a head of cabbage or a head of lettuce or something like that to give them as a treat. But anyway, so I had this bag of these freeze-dried protein for them. And I scatter it around. They all come running, and so does Cupcake. She's between the two other guineas, and she doesn't know what to do. It was the funniest thing I think I've ever seen. She like put her beak down near it and then kind of looked up and looked around, and then she put her beak down near it again, not pecking, just sort of like, I don't know what this is. And one of Ginny the guinea comes over and picks up a soldier beetle or whatever it was, and then drops it in front of Cupcake. Cupcake's like, I don't know what to do with this. And then Ginny does it again, picks up and then puts it in front of her. She still doesn't eat it. And then Ginny like picks up another one and eats it, and then eats another one, and then puts another one in front of her. Like, this is how you eat it. By the time I left, Cupcake still hadn't had one. But I just thought that was kind of funny that Ginny was trying to feed it to her. She just didn't know what to do with it. Okay, so another one done. We're done. We're 64. All right. I'm smoking. What to do? I'm probably at the hour mark. I'll probably stop streaming and I'll switch over to watching some of my favorite YouTubers. I like watching Cinnamon Toast Ken a lot. They kind of remind me of my brothers, if my brothers actually got along. Me and my brothers, when they were younger, and they got along. So they're fun to watch. I also like watching Atotzi or A2Z. I think he pronounces it Atotzi, but it is A2Z. But there's a Y at the end. Okay, weave in one. So I like watching them. And for Atotzi, he like goes over the YouTuber and the TikTok drama and stuff. I don't know any of the people he talks about generally. So it's just interesting to watch what other people. I think that is interesting about the internet is you get to have like this like window into someone else's life. And I have trouble connecting that. Like, I feel a lot of things are very performative, so you don't actually see how the real person is. Sometimes I get the feeling when I'm watching like reels and stuff like that, I get this feeling like, oh yes, this person would be exactly like this if I met them in real life. Like they're not affecting a persona for YouTube or or TV or whatever. Like, oh yeah, this person is how, as described on the tin, this is how this person is. But then there's other people out there, content creators, and you can tell that they're not being genuine, not their fault. Like, they know what works for the camera. You know that they're putting on an act. You know that they're being performative. And those ones are harder for me to watch because I get the sense that they're not being real. So they're not being a genuine person. So that means that if I were ever to meet them in real life, not that I want to meet anybody from the internet in real life, but if I were to meet them, I wouldn't know what to expect. And I don't like that feeling of not knowing what to expect when I'm interacting with someone. So people like Cinnamon Toast Ken and Buff Pro, which is Ken, of course, Ken is Cinnamon Toast Ken, and then Buff Pro's name is Dane. I feel like if I were to run into them in like the store or whatever, they would be the type of people who I see on their channel. and there would be no guesswork into how their personality. I don't know how to explain it. I don't think I'm explaining it well, but like a Totsi or A to Z, I feel like he would be kind of laid back the way he is in his videos. But other people, I can't even think of some of the names of other people who would be different. Like there's some other people. Elise Myers, I see a lot of stuff from her on Facebook Reels. I feel like she'd be very similar to how she is on those. I can't remember. Okay, that was a weave-in. I did a weave-in one there, so that means I get to do another one of these. I get to make one from scratch. I feel like she'd be pretty similar to how she is. I think given the way that she is, and it's very similar to the way that I am, it's a lot easier to, it's a lot less stressful, I guess you'd say, to not be performative in a video. So you get a lot more, this is what's on the tin when those type of people make videos. Anyway, but I can't think of, there's, oh yeah, that's right. On Facebook, there's this one reels that I see from time to time. It's like this lady who's making fun or of the Crunchy Mom thing. Like, oh no, radio, like cell phone towers and non-GMO food or whatever. I thought it was a parody, but I'm not entirely sure. I think it is like parody-ish, but it's also maybe part of how she is, and she just knows that that's can be parodied, and she doesn't take herself too seriously. But I'm not sure, and that's one of the things that I guess I don't like about the internet is when you can't tell. Like you feel like someone's being performative. I don't know. It just that I feel like that takes way too much energy. And you always have to be like that in all of your videos, and that's your like internet persona. And I don't know how people. I feel like that just takes a lot of energy, and nah, not for me. Oh God, I can't do this. This is the last one I'm gonna do to make, and then I'm gonna weave in one more, and then I'll stop the live stream, and then I'll go on to watching something. So I can not talk as much because this talking is just drying out my throat. I'm using up all of my words for the year. And boy, it's exhausting. But you guys are basically getting, you guys, I say you guys, my kids are probably going to be the only, my kids, maybe my brother, going to be the only ones to watch this. Yeah. So my second youngest brother just sent me something on Discord. I just read part of it. I'm going to read it out because I think it's funny. It says here, Santa punishes you for being on the naughty list, but instead of coal, he replaces your Christmas dinner with 1940s gelatin recipes, and he shares a screenshot of what's called Summer Delight. Now, here's the thing. My brother knows I can't do gelatin. As a kid, I could not eat Jell-O. The smell of cherry Jell-O smells very inviting. I'd love to try some. I can't actually swallow Jell-O. It's just, it's horrendous. I can't do it. I have tried. I've tried with Jell-O shots. Like you just swallow. No, my throat will not allow me to swallow Jell-O. It's a texture thing. It sucks. But anyway, so he sends this thing. It says Summer Delight. So he knows I don't do Jell-O. He knows how terrible this would be for me. Can't do it right. Oh, I just realized that my yarn spaghetti, there's like a pyre of yarn spaghetti right there. Let me just get rid of that. Here we go. I have now a little wad of yarn spaghetti. But anyway, so he shares this to me knowing what it would be like. All right. Summer Delight. 1 package, 3 ounces of cream cheese. I don't know if you guys know this, but the standard cream cheese package is now like 4 ounces or no, 8 ounces. A standard cream cheese like Philadelphia cream cheese is 8 ounces now. So we have some inflation when it comes to that, including the price. All right. Oh God. Oh, the second ingredient, 1 can Campbell's chicken soup. No. Okay. next item, oh God, 1.5 teaspoons of gelatin softened in 2 tablespoons of water. Oh no! The fourth ingredient is, I guess water counts as an ingredient, but they don't have it listed in bold, but I'll count it as an ingredient. So the fifth ingredient is 3 tablespoons of salad dressing or mayonnaise. Oh boy. Oh gosh. Nope. Like my brain is putting all of these textures, like I know what these textures, okay, so I don't know what the texture of gelatin would be, but I assume before it's in the water, it's kind of like gritty. And I'm assuming that the Campbell's chicken soup, because I've seen what it looks like, it's kind of like, at least the condensed stuff. No. All of these textures mixing together. No. All right, here's the directions on how to make it. You mix those stuff together. Scissors. Okay. Put the cheese into a saucepan and add 1/3 of the chicken soup. Heat until cheese and soup are thoroughly blended. Add the remaining soup and dissolve the softened gelatin in the hot mixture. Cool and fold in salad dressing or mayonnaise. Pour into molds and chill until firm. Mix 4 to 5 individual molds. I'm sorry, that just reading that makes my stomach hurt. That is a very strong visceral reaction to the texture I'm imagining that to be, and it's not. I feel like this is, you could achieve the same taste profile by, I don't know about the cream cheese, but you, for the other stuff, it's just chicken dipped in ranch dressing, basically. Would give you about the same taste profile. So it's basically just chicken nuggets and ranch. I don't know. Anyway, we're about to have square number 65 completed. I'm going to see how many I actually have woven in, and then we'll call it a day at 107 minutes. 107 minutes, that's not right. 67 minutes. There we go. Time to trim. I feel like I should probably make a column for how many I've had woven in and how many I haven't. So I'm going to do that real quick too on this video. All right, let's mark that one. Did I mark this? Yeah, this is number 65. Okay. So, gonna do right, insert to the right. There we go. Okay. So, not gonna make much sense, right? Ends woven in, ends not woven in. Maybe I should do HC for 100% complete or not complete. So complete, not complete. I guess that's the best way I'm going to be able to do it, right? So here's our completed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Wow. Okay. I'm pleasantly surprised. I think I started this with like 7 completed in. So 19 completed. So we have 19 that are complete. And then we're just going to be easy. All right. And then I'm just going to take this. All right. So let me just change this. I want this to be black. This to be red. I like that better. And then I'm going to do percentage completed ends woven in. I'm going to bring that down here. And then I'm going to call this one percentage completed woven in or not. And then we'll just say square done. Oh my gosh. Done. Okay. Go. I'm just gonna. Okay, so right here. So we're at. This is a little bit different. I'm so used to Excel. I don't want the font. I want to change this to percentage. There we go. Okay. Wow. I'm really surprised. I didn't think I would be 5% done with this. I've only been doing this for a couple days. The fact that I'm already 5% complete. Of course, it's going to take hours and hours and hours to sew 130,312 of these together, but I feel like that's really good progress for getting the squares done. All right, and now for the percent that is completed with the ends woven in. It's not as good. It's not as good. Ugh. That's okay. It's okay. All right, that's good to see that though, and we'll see how those things change as we progress with this. I kind of like doing this, so I'll probably do more, and then I'm just gonna update this as I'm doing my own thing, so that when I come back, we'll be able to see the progress. So that's it. Doo-doo.